You are listening to the AI World Podcast, your trusted source for the latest innovations, insights, and trends in artificial intelligence, blockchain, fintech, and decentralized technologies. Each episode features expert interviews, engaging discussions, and in-depth analysis of how AI transforms industries worldwide. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest articles and exclusive reports from the AI World Journal, covering everything from emerging technologies to industry breakthroughs. For more news, global events, and access to AI World Society circle gatherings, visit us at aiworld.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the AI revolution with AI World Lounge.
It is Thursday,
Thank you for listening.
January 29th, 2026.
2026.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you just take a second and look at that date? Sometimes you have to stop and realize we're actually living in the future we used to talk about.
It really doesn't feel like it day to day.
No, but the world feels so different than it did, what, just 5 or 6 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. It's that boiling frog effect, you know? You don't notice the water getting warmer until you look back at how cold it used to be.
Exactly. And speaking of the old days, do you remember the old way of government?
I try not to.
I'm talking about the classics. Standing in line for 3 hours at the DMV under those flickering fluorescent lights. Waiting 6 months for a building permit. Watching a committee debate a pothole for 2 years while the pothole, effectively becomes a crater.
It feels almost vintage at this point, that whole idea of the slow motion machinery of state.
That reactive, sluggish beast. Well, today we are unpacking a special report that just dropped this morning from the AI World Journal. It is titled Algorithmic Rule: How AI is Shaping the Future of Governance. And it makes a pretty bold claim. It says that era, the old way, is officially dead.
Wow.
We aren't just using computers to type up laws anymore. We have crossed a threshold into the era of algorithmic governance.
And that is a massive, a fundamental shift. What's fascinating here, and the report makes this very clear, is that we aren't talking about some distant sci-fi scenario.
This isn't 2050.
Not at all. This is a report on the state of play right now, today in 2026. It argues that we are moving from a reactive model of society to a proactive one.
Okay, proactive governance.
Oh,
That sounds like a great buzzword for a campaign poster, but let's unpack this. What does that actually mean?
Right.
Because usually government is the definition of reactive. A bridge falls down, they pass a bill. A pandemic hits, they scramble for a plan.
Exactly. It's always cleaning up the mess after the fact. The core shift this article describes is moving from fixing to anticipating. The engine driving that is data. The report highlights that governments today are analyzing, huge real-time data sets from satellites, IoT devices.
Those are the billions of internet-connected sensors in everything, right?
In everything. Social media feeds, economic indicators. It's a constant stream of information.
So it's not just some analyst in a basement looking at a spreadsheet from last quarter.
Far from it. It's a massive AI system looking at the pulse of the nation in real time. It's sensor fusion.
And the goal?
The goal is to predict the problem before it becomes a problem. Instead of sending an ambulance after a crash, the system manages the traffic flow to prevent the crash from happening in the first place.
Okay, here is where it gets really interesting for me. The report brings up this concept of digital twins. Now, I'm a gamer, so to me, this sounds like the ultimate version of SimCity. But in the context of government, what are we talking about here?
It's surprisingly close to SimCity, but, with real-world stakes. A digital twin is a virtual replica of a physical system. It could be a single engine, a building, or in this case, an entire city, or even a national economy. It's a simulation that runs parallel to the real world, fed by all that real-time data we just mentioned.
So if it starts raining in the real city, it starts raining in the digital twin.
Precisely. And if a traffic accident blocks Main Street in the real world, the virtual cars in the twin stop moving too.
But the power isn't just in mirroring reality, right? It's in
testing the future.
testing the future.
Think about how policy used to work. A city council decides to change a bus route or a tax incentive. They debate it, they vote, they implement it, and then
they wait 6 months to see if it's a total disaster.
Exactly. It's trial and error.
And usually a lot of error.
Right. With a digital twin, you run the policy in the simulation first. You change the bus route in the virtual city. What happens?
Does traffic gridlock?
Yeah.
Do local businesses lose revenue?
All of that. If the simulation shows a catastrophe, you just don't implement the law. You tweak the variables until the math works, and then you roll it out to the real world.
That is wild. It's essentially a sandbox mode for government. You get to crash the economy in the simulator so you don't crash it in real life.
That's the promise. The source material says this significantly reduces trial and error failures. It's about de-risking democracy.
So that's the high-level concept. But I want to get concrete. What does proactive governance look like on the ground for you and me right now?
Well, traffic is the most visible example, the low-hanging fruit of algorithmic rule. You might have noticed that driving feels a little different lately.
You know, I actually have. I feel like I'm hitting fewer red lights. I thought it was just on a lucky streak.
It's not luck, it's the algorithm.
Ah.
The report explains that in many smart cities now, traffic lights aren't on static timers anymore. They're dynamic. The AI uses cameras and sensors to see a platoon of cars coming 3 blocks away.
And it changes the light?
It adjusts the green light duration to clear the intersection before they even get there. It's solving a traffic jam that hasn't happened yet.
That's convenience, which I appreciate. But the report mentions deeper stakes, particularly with emergency services.
This is where it saves lives. By analyzing historical crash data, weather patterns, and even real-time speed sensors, these systems can predict high-risk zones.
So they know where an accident is likely to happen.
And they can position ambulances and fire trucks near those spots before an accident occurs.
So the ambulance is already around the corner when the 911 call comes.
Exactly. It shaves minutes off response times. And in a cardiac event or a fire, minutes are everything.
Then there's public health. I imagine after the early 2020s, this became a huge priority.
Massive. The report details how health agencies are using AI to detect outbreaks. They analyze anonymized medical records, but also things like internet search patterns.
How does that work?
If 1,000 people in a specific neighborhood start Googling dry cough and high fever on a Tuesday morning,
The AI flags it.
it flags a potential viral cluster weeks before those people would typically show up in a hospital.
It gives them a head start.
It buys time. And time is the most valuable resource when you're trying to contain a contagion.
It's incredible when you think about it. The article breaks this down into 3 pillars of advantage. I want to run through these because they really explain why governments are spending billions on this tech.
Okay.
First up is efficiency.
Right. This is about money, predictive budgeting. So instead of fighting over a static budget once a year and hoping it matches reality.
Which it never does.
Never. The AI allows for fluid capital allocation. If economic indicators shift, the system can move money automatically to where it's needed, say, from a road repair fund to unemployment support in real time.
Then there's consistency. This one really resonates with anyone who has ever caught a bureaucrat on a bad day.
This raises an important point about human nature. Humans are variable. We get tired, we get hungry, we get emotional.
The hangry judge effect.
That's it. There was that famous study showing judges were more likely to deny parole right before lunch.
Because they were hungry.
Exactly. AI doesn't get hangry. It doesn't have bad days. If you apply for a permit or a benefit, the AI applies the rules strictly and consistently every single time. It promises a kind of mathematical fairness.
And the third pillar is responsiveness.
Which connects back to that real-time data. Tax rates, bus routes, social programs, they can adjust instantly based on current conditions.
So it's a government that actually responds to what you need now.
Not what you needed 6 months ago when the legislation was drafted.
So that's the theory. And it sounds efficient. Almost terrifyingly efficient. But let's take a trip around the world. Because this report takes us on a bit of a global tour of who is actually doing this in 2026. And I have to say, I was surprised by how widespread it is.
Yeah, it's not just Silicon Valley experimenting with this.
Not at all.
In fact, you could argue the U.S. is playing catch-up in some specific areas. The report highlights some really unique approaches in different regions.
Let's start with the digital veteran, as the report calls it, Estonia. They've been ahead of the curve for a long time, haven't they?
Oh, Estonia is fascinating. They built their Estonia platform way back in the early 2000s, but now they've supercharged it with AI. They're moving toward what they call invisible government.
Invisible government. That sounds ominous, but I'm guessing they mean it in a good way?
They do. The philosophy is that you shouldn't have to interact with the state unless absolutely necessary. The detail that really stood out to me is the pre-filled forms.
What do you mean?
In most countries, the burden is on you to prove who you are, what you need. In Estonia, the government already has the data. So the AI pre-fills your tax forms, your applications for benefits, everything.
So you just log in and click
You
approve.
just log in, check the numbers, and click verify.
I love that. It reverses the dynamic. Instead of you begging for a service, the government says, hey, we noticed you qualify for this child benefit. Here is the paperwork. It's already done.
Precisely. It removes the friction. It frames the government as a service provider rather than a gatekeeper.
Now, moving to a very different scale, China. The report mentions their national strategy to lead the world in AI by 2030. What are they doing differently?
Well, the scale in China is just massive. They're dealing with mega cities that have populations larger than some entire countries.
Right.
So they're using large-scale predictive systems for urban planning, which makes sense given that density. But the report also highlights something more controversial.
Oh, jeez.
Judicial recommendations.
That stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
AI in the courtroom.
It's analyzing historical data to make recommendations on sentencing or case outcomes. The idea is that same concept of consistency we discussed.
Ensuring similar crimes get similar punishments.
Right, across the vast country.
Yeah.
But it obviously raises some huge questions about the role of human judgment in justice.
It feels like the ultimate computer says no. If the algorithm recommends 5 years, it takes a brave human judge to say, no, I think 3 is appropriate.
That's the pressure. It's the weight of the data against individual intuition.
Let's hop over to Singapore. They seem to be the masters of that digital twin concept we talked about.
Yes, virtual Singapore. It is the gold standard for this tech. It's a 3D city model that is incredibly detailed.
How detailed?
I mean, down to the texture of the buildings. And they simulate everything.
Give me an example of everything.
Okay, wind flow. If a developer wants to build a new skyscraper, the government simulates how that specific building shape will affect airflow in the neighborhood.
To make sure they aren't creating a heat island where hot air gets trapped.
Exactly. Or they'll simulate the spread of infectious diseases through specific subway routes.
And they're managing the energy grid and public housing with this too.
Correct. It's a fully integrated approach. They treat the city as a single, optimizable organism.
One more stop on the tour. The United Arab Emirates. The report mentions they have a Minister for Artificial Intelligence.
Yes, a dedicated cabinet-level position. That shows you how seriously they take it.
It's not just some IT project.
No, they aren't treating AI as an IT upgrade. They see it as a strategic resource, like oil. They are integrating AI across federal ministries, from predicting when infrastructure needs maintenance so bridges don't fail, to fully automated citizen services.
So we have efficiency in Estonia, scale in China, simulation in Singapore, and strategic integration in the UAE. It sounds like a utopia of competence. But
There is always a but.
there's always a but. And here's where it gets really interesting. The source material dedicates a whole section to the black box and the ethics of all this.
Yes.
And I want to get into this because, strictly based on the report, there are some significant challenges here.
Absolutely. The report is very clear that while efficiency is great, we are handing over decision-making power to systems that are fundamentally different from how humans think.
Which creates the black box problem.
It does.
Let's define that for everyone listening. What makes the box black?
It refers to how modern AI, specifically deep learning, works. It's not just a list of rules a programmer wrote down. The AI learns by finding patterns in massive amounts of data.
Okay.
And often the logic it uses to reach a conclusion is so complex, so mathematical, that even the people who built it can't fully explain why it made a specific decision.
And that is the core legal dilemma the report brings up. If an AI makes a harmful policy choice, say, it denies you a benefit you need to survive, or it recommends arresting the wrong person who is responsible.
Exactly. Is it the programmer who wrote the code 5 years ago? Is it the agency that deployed it? Or is it the algorithm itself?
And if you can't explain why the decision was made, how do you appeal it?
You can't. Computer says no isn't exactly due process.
And the report mentions something called explainable AI, or XAI. Is that the solution?
It's the hope. That's an emerging field trying to solve this. It's about building AI that can show its work, that can give a reason for its decision in plain English. But the report notes we are not fully there yet.
Then there's the issue of bias. You mentioned earlier that AI is consistent, it doesn't have bad days. But the report points out a pretty big flaw in that logic.
It does. And the flaw is that AI learns from data. And data is just history.
And history is full of bias.
Right. If you train an AI on 50 years of historical arrest data or 50 years of loan application data, that data contains 50 years of human bias and discrimination. The AI doesn't know that's bad. It just sees a pattern and replicates it.
Oh, it risks automating the bias.
It risks amplifying it. The report warns about replacing human bias, which is messy but at least identifiable, with a mathematical automated bias that looks objective because it comes from a machine.
It's harder to argue with a spreadsheet than a person.
So much harder. And that leads to the broader political risk the article identifies. It uses a specific term, techno-authoritarianism.
It's a strong term.
It is, but it captures the fear described in the text. The concern is that power slowly transfers away from elected officials, people you can vote out of office, and into the hands of, well, technocrats and the private developers who build and maintain these systems.
It's a valid question. If the algorithm decides the bus routes, the tax rates, and who gets into public housing, what is the mayor actually doing?
Cutting ribbons. It raises the question of democratic agency. And the report also touches on surveillance. To make these systems work, to get that digital twin accuracy, you need data.
Constant data.
Constant data. And if that system is used for social control, it fundamentally changes the relationship between the citizen and the state. The report highlights this tension. Does opaque decision-making erode faith in democratic institutions?
If you don't trust the black box, you stop trusting the government.
And that's a dangerous path.
So we're standing at a crossroads here. On one side, incredible efficiency, proactive problem-solving, saving lives. On the other, the risk of a biased, unexplainable machine running our lives. Where do we go from here? The report looks ahead to 2035.
Well, the good news is that the experts in the article don't predict some, robot takeover where humans are obsolete. They predict a hybrid model.
A partnership.
They call it human in the loop. The idea is a division of labor based on respective strengths.
Okay, so how does that work?
AI manages the routine, high-volume, data-intensive tasks. It crunches the numbers for the budget, it manages the traffic lights, it processes the forms.
And the humans, what do we do?
Humans oversee the strategic, the ethical, and the politically sensitive decisions. The report suggests that elected officials will stop micromanaging the details of policy.
And instead,
they will define societal values and objectives.
So the official says, our goal is to reduce homelessness by 20% and ensure fair housing. And the AI figures out the logistics of how to get there.
Exactly. The human sets the destination, the AI drives the car. But the human still has a hand on the wheel for emergencies.
And to keep that black box in check, the report mentions some new institutions. Algorithmic audit boards.
This connects back to that bigger picture of accountability. Just like we have financial audits today to check the books, or safety inspectors for restaurants.
We'll have auditors for algorithms?
We'll have citizen oversight committees and technical boards that audit the algorithms.
So they pop the hood and check the engine.
They check for bias, they check for errors, and they ensure the digital twin actually matches reality. It's essentially a new branch of civil service focused entirely on digital integrity.
It sounds like we need to update our civics textbooks.
We absolutely do. The report wraps up with a pretty heavy conclusion. It says the defining choice of the 21st century is between efficiency and liberty.
That feels like a tough choice. Do we have to pick one?
The report argues that it doesn't have to be one or the other, provided we are vigilant. This is a social experiment as much as a technological one.
We are the test subjects.
We are. The report says the century will be defined not just by that we apply AI, but how we apply it. If we use it to enhance democratic values, transparency, responsiveness, it could be a golden age.
We could solve things that seem unsolvable today.
Like climate resource allocation or pandemic prevention.
But if we just chase efficiency,
then we risk losing the human element that makes society worth living in. We risk becoming just data points in an optimization problem.
it's a lot to process. We've gone from standing in line at the DMV to a digital twin of our entire civilization in, about 15 minutes?
Life moves pretty fast.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over today. We talked about the challenges, the black box, the data risks. Those are real.
Very real.
But consider the alternative. We know human politicians make mistakes. We know human bureaucrats have bias. They get tired. They have limited information. So here's the question.
Okay.
If an AI can prove mathematically that it can govern more efficiently, more fairly, and more responsively than a human, at what point does human error stop being a quirky feature of democracy and start being a liability we can no longer afford?
That is the ultimate question.
And are you ready to trust a digital twin with your real life? Think about it. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.
The future of artificial intelligence is unfolding, and it's happening at AI World Week, the flagship global event for for innovation, collaboration, and transformation. This flagship global AI event is designed to connect visionary leaders, trailblazing entrepreneurs, and influential thinkers to explore the endless possibilities of AI. Experience groundbreaking technology that redefines industries and inspires progress. Join thought-provoking discussions on ethical AI, digital equity, and the transformative role of technology in our world. Build meaningful connections that catalyze innovation and drive impact. AI World Week is powered by AI World Society, a global movement dedicated to advancing AI responsibly and ensuring it serves humanity. Together, we're shaping a smarter, more inclusive, and equitable future. Continue your journey beyond the event with the AI World Journal, offering expert insights, in-depth analysis, and the latest trends shaping the AI landscape. This is your opportunity to lead, to innovate, and to transform the world with AI. AI World Week. We invite you to join us and embrace the AI revolution.